Hey guys, it's Will, and I am back with another character babble. This one is going to be for my character Cameron, and he is an antagonist, just as a summary. So if you don't like those types of characters, or if you just don't want to hear me talk, you're free to mute this as per usual. And it might go into a little bit of gross stuff just because of the type of character he is. So if you're squicky about like body horror and stuff, you might not want to keep my audio on. Feel free to put on your own music or do whatever you like otherwise. I don't care if you're just here for the art. That's totally fine too. Alright? Awesome. So the ref I'm drawing for Cameron right now, his full name is Cameron Coriolanus, but the ref I'm drawing for him on screen is actually for a group that I'm in called Hollow Hills. And that's just kind of like a shitposty group. That's actually how they advertise themselves. It's not a super serious group, and I wanted to do something with my friend Hermie. Though I think that actually I'm probably just better off just headcanon with Hermie on my own, just because I think we get better prompts out of that for some reason. I'm not really sure how that happens, but it just did. But in Hollow Hills, Cam is a Reaper because his original form, or his original creation, was a necromancer. He was a death priest for Dungeons and Dragons, and he worships the god Vecna, the god of undead and secrets and evil. And he was basically made just to be an annoyance. He was like the minion, well, he is still the minion of this undead lich named Dyran, who is an old and shrivelly and gross looking dude, and he does weird experiments on things, trying to make hybrids or undead creatures using science, and it's real creepy. And Cam works for him because Cam wants to date the skeleton man because he's attracted to Dyran, which is, even for me, that's real weird, Cameron. Like, he can be into whatever he's into, I don't really care, but why do you want to date the weird skeleton man who's not even entirely flesh? I don't know, that's just how he is. But he is therefore questionably evil. He kind of just does whatever other people say. He's relatively sarcastic when he's actually, like, talking to people, but he's very, very, like, he doesn't really care about what people do or say. He just kind of does his own thing or whatever his boss tells him to do. So he's very used to falling into the, like, submissive sort of minion role. He also doesn't really like talking too much. He is a psychic, so he can talk telepathically, but as a result, he just does not like wasting physical words on people. When he worked with Dyran, he kind of gave Dyran his literal physical heart, and so he is actually, like, undead. He is missing part of his brain, and his heart is gone and replaced by, like, technology and crap. And there's some of his organs which are probably missing too. It's hard to tell. He doesn't really keep track of that anymore. But he knows that his heart is missing, and he knows that he's missing part of his brain. Because he's undead, it doesn't really affect him too much, because he's basically just like a living zombie. But that's just, I guess when you say that you're giving your heart to someone, if you're a necromancer, you just kind of make it happen literally. But Dyran still doesn't like him. Dyran is not interested and is just using Cameron and is a horrible person. But then again, Cameron's also a horrible person, so yeah. He has a bunch of undead pets here and there. Most of them end up somewhat, like, dead permanently, but very notably he has a dog named Brayson, who is a gravehound, so an undead dog who he tamed, and tends to bite people's limbs or eat corpses, which is kind of what gravehounds do, but Cam is very proud of him for that. He is a good dog, at least to Cam, even if that means he's eating Cam. And Cameron actually at one point, when he was pretending to be a live living human, dated my character Esme for a little bit. Though, that didn't work out because obviously he was more interested in the undead man instead of the, living wizard. But they were good together when they were first starting out because they're both kind of snarky and psychic, so they got along well, even if it really wasn't a good relationship in the end. You can see on the side of the picture here where I'm drawing, hopefully at least, Cam's ref. And if you don't see it now, it'll pop up in a bit, and that is because Cam, you can see it has hair, and that's because I used Cam a few times, and he did originally have hair in the original version of him that I used him in, and then when he died in that campaign, because he didn't listen and he got, like, brained with the big heavy metal object and died, he came back without a part of his skull, and so that just kind of became a character trait for him. And then I thought it'd be cool if he had like that shaved sort of skull look like I'm drawing now. But at one point I used him in a Call of Cthulhu campaign where he was originally human and a medic, so I had to give him like reasonable person hair. So I gave him a Navy SEAL like buzz cut because one, the setting was he was a Navy SEAL, but two, I thought it'd be better looking on him than the original haircut I gave him, which is this like weird half like slick back ponytail, which was real weird. But his signature colors, besides the black goth death look that I'm giving him in most iterations, he likes oranges and reds because he's got heterochromia and one of his eyes is red and one of his eyes is orange. If he's in a normal human world where that doesn't exist in terms of like you can't have red eyes, he has like a hazel-ish eye and a brown eye. But if I'm gonna go edgy for my edgy death priest OC, I'm gonna go with red and orange because I think that's cool and classic, but that's just me. I'm trying to think if there's anything else about Cameron. He got his surname because I'm a Shakespeare fan, and I wanted to name him after Coriolanus, the Shakespeare play, because I made him around the same time that I read that for class, and I liked that story. I can never spell his name properly, but I remember that the name Coriolanus ends in A-N-U-S as opposed to A-N-I-S, and I remember Cam's an asshole. So that's how I remember how to spell his name, which is probably not as interesting as I think it is, but it's something that I find amusing. And hopefully you don't actually hear the clicking noise I'm making with my flash drive, because I keep fiddling with it because I don't have any stim stuff with me right now. But, yeah, Cameron's one of my OCs that he's kind of half of a joke and half serious because I just really love talking about him as, like, this edgy sort of, like, I kind of made this character when I was 13, even though I didn't in real life, sort of character, and just something to enjoy, but also you are a stupid character who is trying to bang a skeleton. Not even a good skeleton at that. Oh, speaking of, Cam as a Navy SEAL, and generally, he is actually a healer. I made him as a healer, so he was not the only healer of the group, but he was a healer of the group. And that's also why he was a medic in the Call of Cthulhu campaign where he's a Navy SEAL. And that is... I call him a kind of medic because his method of healing someone was to wait until they hit death and then kind of resurrect them. But that counted, even though people got annoyed that I wasn't healing them in-game, but I literally didn't have any standard healing spells, so I couldn't do anything about it. It made him kind of a target for the Warforged in the group, because the Warforged got really, really angry at him for not doing anything, even though he actually literally couldn't, because he's not that type of healer. But on the other hand, he was kind of a dick to the Warforged, so give and take. And in the Call of Cthulhu campaign, he was like the senior member of the Navy SEAL squad that we were a part of, because he was the most experienced, and he was also the first one to die, and the only one to die to a tentacle monster, because he ended up getting, like, attacked by this just giant mass Shoggoth, like, ball of tentacles that just, like, mutilated him, and they could not save him in time, and I rolled a critical 1, or rather, a critical 100 for Call of Cthulhu terms, and ended up just horribly failing my savings throw. So he just died at the very end of the mission, and I felt really bad, but also he kind of deserves it. I don't know if anyone else plays Call of Cthulhu this way, but whenever I play Call of Cthulhu, just because of the high rate of death, I always just put in my most horrible characters because they deserve to die. I don't put in a character that I actually want to live because I don't want to feel bad if they die. So I just take a character who I just hate and throw them in there. Not that I hate any of my characters, but, you know, an antagonist who's not super redeemable. They might be fun, but they're not someone who really, like, is a great person. But yeah, that's it for my speed paint. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm not going to bug you with my outro again, but you guys know the drill, so I will see you guys next time. Bye!